So what happens when we find out these millennials are going to start growing up? And then we discover all of this information, these decades of research we've been doing, turns out to be wrong. So I think we're all stuck in the same circular argument we've all heard. Every month, some new thought leader claiming to be a millennial expert gets its hands on the New York Times or the Washington Post and writes an expose on millennials saying we are lazy, can't find a job, we have parents that are overprotective, we live in our parents' basement, and the only hope we have of actually getting out is if a Pokemon is spotted in a park nearby. Standard millennials. But I think something here is just a little bit off. I think the actual national narrative is wrong. Here's how I know this. 6 years ago, I started an organization called NEWaukee. It's turned into one of the largest millennial groups in the United States. We've done several events in and around the state of Wisconsin, getting millennials engaged in the community. Here's what that looks like. This is a night market on Wisconsin Avenue showcasing an area of downtown that was a little left behind. And suddenly economic development is happening here because millennials embraced it. And in this picture, you see thousands of people enjoying themselves in an evening in a downtown environment and hundreds of vendors experiencing commerce as they're being paid for their wares. This is an area of Lakeshore State Park, a forgotten piece of DNR land, which is really underutilized. The groups came together, and what you're seeing here is a gathering of the city's youth experiencing a place they don't go to often. Most people know Minneapolis as the land of 10,000 lakes. However, you didn't know Milwaukee is actually the capital of fresh water. So that's my city. And NEWaukee has led into several things. Here you have the mayor of our community smashing a pineapple to start off the event. And there you've got Jason Kidd randomly showed up to a rooftop event that we held downtown. And after speaking to thousands of these millennials over the last 6 years, I noticed the narrative's wrong, and it's time to change it. So here's the natural perception. Helicopter parents, right, before we go out. But this isn't me. I was born in 1983. My parents didn't do this. I played outside with a stick. I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures, not video games. And I used to go bison hunting with my family. I used to forge rivers. Yeah. Right? We'd fix axle wheels when they were broken. Even when James had a snake bite or typhoid, I'm still not sure what typhoid is, but we fixed him up. I spent every day after school with Zach Morris and Kelly Kapowski. Kelly Kapowski. Oh, by the way, Screech lives next to my hometown, and he got in a little fight not long ago, just got out of jail, stabbed a guy in a bar fight. Bayside's a rough place to grow up in. So our teen years, when we went on road trips, I wasn't sitting in the back of the minivan with an iPad watching SpongeBob SquarePants. I was getting yelled at by my dad, listening to country music. He hit me first, sit on your hands. That was my road trip, a book. I had to read a book. And then it happened. June 13th, 1998. I was sitting at my friend Barry's house, looking around the house with a new flashlight that he got for Christmas, and there it was. We found, behind his dad's microwave, our first Playboy. That moment. 8 of us gathered around the table, learning about the birds and the bees from Hugh Hefner himself, just like generations before us. When I was 17, I didn't swipe left or right to see if I could get a prom date. No, I had to ask a girl out, in person, face to face, like a man. I didn't actually ask her out, I called her. And it had to be before 9 because she was on a landline. This was before cell phones, and she couldn't talk after 9. And I had to do it in front of my parents because my phone had a cord on it. So that was me growing up. College, my college didn't look like this. Did yours? Mine didn't. As 32, going on almost 33, we had one desktop computer for my entire dorm floor. I didn't have Snapchat. These aren't things that we came to the game with. Halo, we played that by connecting modems in between our dorm rooms, and people would come kick them out, and you have to restart your game. Rough life in college, right? We actually had to attend class in person. And now here we are. This is the photo that most people encapsulate millennials as. Skinny jeans, beard, flannel, cell phone. That's where the media thinks we all are. All of us, born from 1980 to 2000. That means I was almost 20 years old when the last millennial was being born. That's such a big gap. So they really bust us down into two different areas here. One, you're this guy. You're living with your parents' house. By the way, if you live with your parents, don't say that. Just call them your roommates. Way more credibility. You're probably working as a barista and being a social media strategist, whatever the hell that is. I'm not sure. Or this very same person is now living in Austin, working for a tech startup, paying $3K a month for a sweet penthouse in rent, and then drinking PBR through the mustache. Even the girls. I'm not sure how that works. So that's the perception of millennials. But here's what they're missing. They're missing me and about 26 million of the friends that I have that are also millennials above the age of 30. Right here you see a line in this graph of the millennial generation. And yes, we might have tried on skinny jeans, but none of us bought them. I have responsibility now. I water my plant every Tuesday. I have a weekend subscription to the New York Times. I like to let it sit on my stoop for a couple of hours so my neighbors see that I read it. May or may not page through it. I'll actually probably just look at the app. But there's a big difference between the Oregon Trail Millennials, where I'm coming from, and your virtual reality millennials, where that next generation of little punks are coming in from. But why should you care? Let's follow the money. So let's look at this. We've got, sir, look like you're a healthy young man. You're going to live to 85. I'm going to go get a cocktail after this speech. 75. Average age, 80. Okay? Tax-paying years are about 55, and we're estimating that millennials kicking into the system each year are about to be about $10,000. That's $550,000 lifetime taxes getting kicked into the local economy. It's a lot of money. So understanding the trends and where this demographic is going is extremely important. And here's one thing millennials do have in common, no matter what year they're born. Love of cities. Millennials and baby boomers are currently flocking back to cities at an alarming rate. In 1950, 30% of the world's population lived in cities. Today, 54%. That's a massive jump. This is Milwaukee, my city, my home, repping it. So many of us want to stay here, or at least damn close to here, where we've grown up and made our friends and our connections. Problem is, I don't think cities are currently set up to allow us to live here as we grow older. So you're starting to make these life decisions, getting a pet or a kid, maybe wanting a house, a second house, a mortgage, a wife. These are all things, and we're just not ready for it. So cities need to start reacting and thinking to be better members for the millennial generation. This is what we're going to start looking like. Kids, 2 to 3-year-old kids, and this is a millennial. It's not just that Houston, Austin startup. We have infants, we have life-changing needs, and the cities that are going to be the progressive cities moving forward are the cities that are going to plan for this. Those cities are starting to develop millennial retention strategies. And there's a couple of core pieces that all cities understand they're in competition with one another. And the cities that are going to win are going to focus on a couple of key things. One, kids, public schools. How come in the United States, arguably the best nation in the world, we still struggle to educate our community in public schools around the nation? How is it that our education is so poor? You know, our generation is going to vote with their feet. If you can't educate our children, we're going to find a community that will. So this has to be priority number one. We're willing to give up the car. We'll split one and ride a bike. We'll have a smaller footprint to live in, but we are not going to sacrifice where our kids go to school and how good that education is. We have to focus on parklands, not just a big empty green space, but it's got to be activated. You've got to have a safe space for community members to come together. We need walkability, those bike lanes in beautiful tropical places like Fargo and Milwaukee, where you've got a whopping 5 years, 5 months out of the year you can bike. We've got to take advantage of those. We need shaded areas and groceries that are nearby, these connective nodes of interactivity. And did you know that the pet industry is currently $63 billion? There's a lot of cat ladies running around with $63 billion. Cities that are going to win are going to start creating communities where you have a pet strategy, as crazy as that sounds. We need dog parks and places that are animal friendly. So now that we're looking at the millennial demographic, we know we want them to raise their family or grow with their spouses or their pets in our community. And the cities that win are going to be the ones that strategize for that. I know education and parks and development, those can be some controversial issues, but the communities that care are going to invest. So let's all stop trying to be the next Portland. Let's stop trying to be the next Austin. And let's just be the best damn city where you can raise a family. Thank you.